until she hears a screen door slamming, rubber squealing, gears are jamming. Local country station just a blaring on the radio. Pick him up at 7 and they're headed to the rodeo. Mama's on the front porch screaming out her warning, girl, you better get your red head back in bed before. 9 o'clock the show is in, but the fun is just beginning. She knows he's anticipating, but she's gonna keep him waiting. Grab a bite to eat and then they're headed to the honky-tonk. Dancing just ain't what they really want. Drive out to the boondocks and park down by the creek. Hey, where it's Georgia State real late, dancing cheek to cheek. Ain't going down till the sun comes up. Ain't to get enough. Go around the world in a pickup truck. Ain't going down till the sun comes up. And dancing, midnight stars are fuck that truck is rocking, 2 is coming, still no stopping. Break to check the clock, at 3 they're out on where they wanna be, and 4 o'clock get up, get going, 5 o'clock that rooster's crowing. Sun comes up. 6 o'clock on Saturday, folks don't know he's on his way. The stalls are clean, the horses fed. They say she's grounded till she's dead, but here he comes around the bend, slowing down, she's jumping in. Hey, mom, your daughter's going there, they gonna get her. Sun comes up.
So we're going to talk about Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up?
Mm-hmm. So Garth Brooks is a generous person, and he also likes to put different combinations together to write. And he called me one day and he said, I played a song of ours for this kid, Kim Williams, and of course, Kim was older than Garth. He said he hated the song, but he liked one lyric in the song. He liked one line. He thought maybe that could be a song. Do you want to write with him? And I thought, well, this guy hates my song. Yeah, I'll write with him. So we got together and we wrote a couple things with Garth, and there was a good chemistry. And so we started working together more and more. And Garth called me one day and he said, I want to write a song with machine gun lyrics. So I thought, well, I don't know what that means, but I'll call Kim. And so I called Kim and said, hey, Garth called and he wants to write a song with machine gun lyrics. And he said, what the hell's that mean? And I said, I don't know. Just get over here and we'll find out. So he came with this whole idea. It was what I love about him. Once again, he had this vision of what he needed for the single off the next record, that he also wanted it to be, if it turned out, a big showcase song NBC show he had in Dallas that he was going to film. So he kind of already had in his mind what this song was going to be, but he didn't know what the song was. So he came over, and I had just bought this house that had sat vacant for a year and a half. So it was kind of falling apart. So I had people there painting and hammering and banging and knocking walls out and the whole bit. And so we went out on the back porch and lyrics all day in a yellow pad. And when we were as sunburned as we could possibly get from being out there, he said, well, I think we got enough. Let's go in and kind of just put it all together. And he said, I want to work once you get a drum machine going and the whole bit. And so I didn't have much of my studio set up because I had just moved, but I got a drum machine going. And back then, drum machines were really bad. And if there was a guitar player programming a drum machine, sounded like a guitar player playing drums. So I had this little drum machine going kind of how he wanted it. And Kim and Garth were standing behind me. And one of them went, oh my God. And I turned around and there were termites in the ceiling and the wall, which isn't good when you've got a letter that says your new home has no termites. So I guess the drum machine pissed him off, which I can understand that. But so I was kind of stressed out that here's my new house that I the termites. And Kim Williams had a great sense of humor, and he went, oh man, when Garth and I wrote Papa Love Mama, there were cockroaches crawling all over my apartment, and it was a #1 song, and this is going to be too. And he was right. Thank you, Kim Williams.
So why is the girl redhead?
Kim Williams' daughter, Amanda, is a redhead, and she was a wild child. And so we put it in for her.
I was wondering if it was just because it rhymed with redhead and bed.
Well, it did, but, I think that was part of it, is just get her in there and say, Mandy, we...
And does she know this song
she
is
knows.
about
Oh,
her?
yeah, she knows. And she's turned into a great songwriter. She's had a couple songs on Garth's records, and so she's kind of passing on the family tradition.
Melody's a sort of classic 1-4-5 that's so catchy.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that, it's a classic song structure?
It's like Chuck Berry, was so good. He was, to me, if Dylan was a songwriter that changed the world, Chuck Berry changed rock and roll, and he was so good at being able to write those fast lyrics that were all about teenage lust and love, even though he was probably in his 30s at the time. It's just, Garth knew he wanted that kind of song that would just get people up, get people excited. And, there'd been some other songs out about that time that kind of had that same groove. He loved Bob Seger, and I think about Get Out of Denver or something was a real kind of up-tempo thing, and maybe Kathmandu and a couple things like that. And so I kind of just thought, well, it's in between Chuck Berry and maybe something like that. So that's kind of what we came up with. And it's just one of those things that, you still hear it on the radio and you start driving too fast. And in live shows, it's awesome. And the funniest thing to me, the coolest thing was he knew that it was going to be in his Dallas show. But what we didn't know was he was going to fly across the auditorium singing this song at the same time. Kim, when we kind of heard what he was going to do, Kim and I and our wives hopped on a plane and went down to Dallas. It's like, we gotta see this. And so Kim and his wife were sitting behind me, and Garth took off from the stage up about 20 feet in the air and then started flying probably 50 or 60 feet up above the whole audience, all the way to the back audience at the end of the auditorium. And Kim looked at me and said, "You couldn't drive a ass with a sledgehammer right now if I was him." And I thought, that's a good Eastern Tennessee way of saying something, Kim. And but yeah, it was true. And the day before, when he had tried it for the first time, the rope had broke. So I mean, that's how brave he is. He's like, well, it didn't work yesterday, maybe it'll work today, and it did. So
this was the first song you wrote with Kim Williams?
no, this was probably the third or fourth song.
Okay.
The first one we wrote, interesting, the song that Kim hated had a line in it called "What Never Happens, What I'll Never Forget." And so he thought that could be a song. So that's the one that Garth said, well, let's get Kim over here and we'll work on it. And what the funny thing was on that, like I said earlier, Garth's a spewer. So we were working on that song. We took a break and Garth was over in the corner and he was kind of singing a bluegrassy feeling thing. And I'm from Kentucky. Well, what is that? And he said, I don't know. I'm just making it up. And so I said, well, let's make that one up. And so we went ahead and wrote that. And it's a song called Cold Shoulder. And it ended up, when we wrote it, Garth didn't have anything going on. And he told me to be on my third album. And we're like, yeah, right. So third album, that song's on his album, and it's one of my favorite because it's a bluegrassy song. And once again, it's Alan Reynolds and Garth's production, which is just like the original guitar vocal on it or whatever. And so we became, we wrote two songs that one day. So that when you can do that with somebody you don't even know, that's probably a good thing. And so we just started writing. And
so tell me about working with Kim on this song. He's no longer with us. What was his contribution?
Oh, Kim Williams was larger than life. He had been burned over 90% of his a clean room that blew up. He was an engineer and he had like 100 operations in 1 year. And he decided that God wanted him to be a songwriter instead of an engineer. And so he moved to town, pun intended, but he had a fire under him like nobody I've ever met. He would work. He wrote 4 times a day, every day. He was just eat up with it. And so he was so much fun. He was so fun. Smart. He read all the time and he liked arguing about philosophical things, especially religion and spiritualism or whatever. But when you were with Kim, you were always going to laugh. You were always going to have fun, and great songwriter on knowing how lyrics should lay. And Garth's one of the best songwriters I've ever written with too. I don't like hearing people saying, well, he just had a lot of help. No, he's an incredible songwriter. So fun that day. And that's where the magic happens, when you're having fun and there's no pressure and it's 3 friends laughing and, well, let's stick Amanda in there, redhead, let's put her in there, and what else can we do just to make it fun and still be real life? And so that was the cool thing about it.
And this song went to number 1?
Went to number 1, yeah.
And so you had a number 1 party?
We had a number 1 party. Garth was so busy even have a number 1 party with him, but they had ASCAP because Garth and Kim Williams were ASCAP riders, and it was just so much fun to be celebrating with 2 people, great friends, and just knowing that you created this out of a day that you were just laughing and having fun till the termites showed up, But the other funny thing was about this, Kim was kind of a always turning things over in his mind, and his wife was a nurse, and he kept calling me up. He goes, Garth can't sing this song. This song's too fast. He can't sing this song. I said, he did a work tape. He did fine. He said, I'm going to get my wife. I'm going to take it down to the recording studio when he sings it. And so if he needs oxygen, he can breathe the oxygen while he's singing the song. But Garth went in and I think he sang it in 1 take. But I've got a work tape, just me and him and that terrible drum machine, and it's so close to the record, it's scary. It's like the record without any other instruments on it. But it's just the vision that he has that I see very few artists vision of how things can be, and he's the best at it.
Anything about the production I mean, it's an incredibly fast song.
Yeah.
What's the time
Well,
on it? It's
the thing that it's a short song because it's so fast. So, at the time radio was kind of making their singles longer. So what he did was at the end of the song, he started fading it out, but then he brought it back up and all the musicians kicked in again. But Chris Lusinger on guitar parts were so incredible. And Terry McMillan was a harmonica player in Nashville and probably the best harmonica player in Nashville at the time. And he played harmonica all over the song and nobody was using time. And so that really stood out. And at the end, Terry and Chris Lusinger get into a battle between the harmonica and the guitar, and it just elevates it further than what it was already, which is really cool. And a fun song. It came out in the summertime, and it's always good to have an up-tempo song in the summer. And then being on TV and it flying across the stage, that didn't hurt either, So it was just one of those magical songs of exactly what he wanted and what he was going to do with it.